I know. We're going to cover all of that. Every single person is like fucking baying for blood, looking for... Netanyahu's live now, so we'll hear.
Emphasize, we just started to hit the Hamas. The images of the Hamas bases in Gaza is just the beginning. We have killed many terrorists, and this is not going to stop. I said that any place from which Hamas operates will turn into rubble. This is already happening today, and it will continue happening even more so. I am in constant communication with President Biden, and I would like to thank him on behalf of all citizens of Israel. The USA supporting Israel in every way, have a plane carrier, biggest in the area. He's on its way to this area. And the enemies of Israel understand what that means. I would also like to thank many leaders in the world for their support in Israel. Citizens of Israel, I have to tell you, there's also some fake news and propaganda that is trying to separate us and scare us, such as the information that there are lots of tunnels, or the fake news that the Egyptian official has warned us about this, which has never happened before. Do not believe this propaganda. And the one thing that is most important in war is staying calm. I know we all want results right here, right now, but it will take some time. But I promise you, dear citizens, at the end of the war, all our enemies will know it was a terrible mistake to attack Israel. What we will do to our enemy in the next few days will echo
to say Israel has the right to...
Already, the battlefield is filled with heroic stories of our people, from the citizens, the policemen, the
brother. You haven't even secured southern Israel. What the fuck? Why did they move away from trying to at least like protect internal Israeli security immediately to hit the genocide button? It's so odd.
Watch the video.
They literally are fucking insane. Like they're so horny for blood that they are not even like... How are you speaking like it's over and also just beginning?
On the field, and he saw the ceremony of the Brit on video. And when he heard the words from the ceremony, his eyes filled with tears. Yesterday, I appointed Gal Hirsch to be in charge of those abducted.
Do you think they're actually doing a genocide? Missing. I don't know. You tell me. They said they're shutting off the water, the power, which they do regularly anyway. They're stopping the food supply. It's an open-air prison. And they're engaging 300,000 reservists. What do you think that is? Do you think they're going in there to hug and kiss the people? No. They're going in there. They're going in there to fucking kill.
All sharing this.
A final solution.
This is true and honest thing.
They don't a lot of people don't fucking get it, dude.
We will overcome, and together we will win. Only together. As Prime Minister of Israel, I'm telling you honestly, we are ahead of difficult days. We are hurting for our brothers and sisters who have died, and I insist on winning this battle in order to bring peace to our people and our country. The people of Israel, the country of Israel, is a miracle. In the book of Samuel, it says that the eternity of Israel will not lie. And during this journey, we will commit every promise, and this time we will also commit this promise, and the people of Israel will live.
Oh my God, how the fuck did their Iron Dome radars not detect fucking paragliders? It was too slow. Paragliders do not pick up enough speed that missiles do, that it didn't trigger the radars. That's how. They're too slow. Okay. I've learned more about the Palestinian-Israel conflict from you in the past few days in my whole time in academia. Yeah, I mean, if this was not your interest, then yes, you're not going to learn about it, because why would you? They bombed the mosque in Gaza, a military target. Dude, Israel has never bombed a military target in Gaza. Gaza is one of the most densely populated places. It's 2.2 million people, 2 million people living in a fucking tiny-ass strip, okay? It's all children for the most part, too. It's majority under the age of 18. The average age is 18, dude. The average age is 18 years old. They're bombing fucking kids. inside of hospitals, mosques, schools, and saying that they're doing this because the Hamas is actually using them as meat shields, as like human shields. Okay? It's completely fucking ridiculous. It is, and they're not even hiding it. Like, this is a straight up war crime, dude. This is war crime shit. They're already done. They've already done it. They've already done it. It took 2 days for some Israeli citizens to feel exactly like the way Palestinian people feel every single fucking day of their lives, for them to go, okay, it's genocide button. Complete siege on Gaza, no electricity, no food, no fuel, no water, everything is closed. Now you have to remember something. How can they do that? I thought Gaza, they could just leave, right? How could they fucking do that? Because they can't do that. It's a prison. It's an open air prison. There's always this weird notion, okay? There's always this weird notion that whenever you deal with someone who's like an ultra Zionist online, where they always say the most insane shit, where they'll be like, Gaza's not an open air prison. But then when push comes to shove, they routinely recognize that it is an open air prison. You know what I mean? It's the same principle behind the Nakba, right? They're like, on the one hand, they say the Nakba didn't happen. And then also on the other hand, they're like, but it should have happened. And if it did happen, then we're going to do it again. And it's going to be much worse. It's always the same bullshit. Okay? It's always the same fucking bullshit. Yeah, it's always like, oh, Gaza's not an open-air prison. We just control all flow of supplies going in and out of Gaza. We control the entire electricity grid of Gaza. We control the entire water supply of Gaza. We control the food supply of Gaza. You know what I mean? But it's not. But like, and people can't go in and out of Gaza freely. But it's not an open-air prison. Come on. Serious question, what do we need for a two-state solution? A two-state solution is what Israel claimed it was going to do so that they could keep doing this like slow burn ethnic displacement and cleansing that they've been engaging in. It's fucking bullshit. Reparations to all Palestinians, and also give land back to the Palestinians and create a singular state where everyone has equal rights, a secular singular state that is more representative of historic Palestine, where Jews, Christians, and Muslims could live freely. Okay? That's it. It's fucking ridiculous. And no, that doesn't mean a Muslim state either, or a Muslim fundamentalist state where all the Jews get fucking wiped out either. That is ridiculous. And that would never happen anyway. And so it's silly when people bring that up as a counter. Back in 2008, Israel did a ground invasion of Gaza, killing 1,400. In 2014, they bombed. Yes. Protractedly killing 2,300 both times. 70% of the casualties were civilians in both of those campaigns. Yes. I mean, yeah, you see a lot of this. Like, flatten everything. Spare no school. No children's hospital. No old age home. Delete their entire gene pool off the face of the earth. Dude, people that have been historically oppressed, hitting the fucking Hitler particle button so quick is just wild to me, okay? We are not that far removed from Nazi Germany and the fucking Holocaust. Like, how can you just jump there? Kanka kilise anan sor o daha iyi bilir. Yine demokrat havalarındasın Hasan ya. İsrail kalp Turkey. I'm gonna get a lot of Turkish trolls in here. I guess like my shit popped off in Turkish circles because I called them the dogs of the West. So now they're in here being like, dude, how dare you say that? We love Israel, you know, and we will support Israel no matter what. Okay, got it. Have fun with that, dude. They bombed the only telecom building in Gaza and the one gate to the Egyptian border. Yeah. Gaza is literally under siege for decades, and the entirety of the Western media apparatus actively, Israel has not been doing mass violence daily for decades. Yes. There are a lot of people who are just simply misguided. Okay? There are a lot of people who are just simply misguided. They've been blinded to the truth, or maybe they are completely oblivious to the reality. Or maybe sometimes they're cynically weaponizing that lack of interest or lack of knowledge in what has actually happened in the Israeli-Palestinian relationship. Okay, there's going to be a lot of people who are misinformed by it and or utilizing the lack of information to their advantage. But there you go. You can find I mean, when you have the asymmetry of warfare that Israel has maintained in its endless occupation, okay? And when you have the head of the military apparatus saying, we are fighting human animals, which you can say is a mistranslation, but the other translation is not much better either, which is beasts and not real humans, okay? And you hear him say, we shut off the food, we shut off the water, we shut off the electricity, we shut off everything, and we're fucking going in, and they've been bombing it into rubble, okay? You don't really need to do anything else. You don't really need any additional context. I mean, he's saying it very clearly. Yeah, we're fighting human animals and we will act accordingly. Bro, you are a human animal. Like, what the fuck do you mean? Israel just bombed Gaza's telecommunication company, Paltel, causing internet and phone signal blackouts in major parts of the enclave. The company and its building has zero connection to Hamas or any other groups. They are deliberately targeting civilian infrastructure, which is a war crime. But of course it's a war crime. Why the fuck wouldn't they do war crimes? Their entire existence, their entire occupation is technically a fucking war crime, and they're going to keep doing more and more of these war crimes. And guess what's going to happen? Guess what's going to happen? Nobody is going to fucking turn around, and when they're getting bombed and they're having their buildings reduced to rubble, when they see their fucking fathers holding out their dead babies out in the streets, go, wow, this surely is Hamas's fault. I can't believe Hamas brought about this violence to our heads. You want to know why they're not going to say that? Because they've been getting bombed like this already. They've been getting bombed like this when Hamas doesn't do anything. They've been getting bombed like this when Hamas does do shit. They've been getting bombed like this. Or on the other side, on the West Bank, they're literally cooperating with Israel. And all that is given them is more death, more humiliation, more destruction, more loss of houses, more ethnic displacement. So at a certain point, they're like, okay, well, I guess we can't trust the state of Israel to have our best interests at heart, because why the fuck would they? God damn it, every fucking Ramadan, they go in to Al-Aqsa and beat the shit out of people who are just simply praying, dude. And then the media rarely ever covers it, or if they do, they cover the violent clashes as though it's not asymmetrical, as though the entire police apparatus is not a colonial task force that is there specifically to fucking kill Palestinians in the West Bank. The entire world knows that that is a war crime, that is an act of terrorism. Fucking Israelis know that. The Israeli position originally was, why the fuck are we giving these settlers any money? They're freeloaders. We have our problems of our own. Okay? Why the fuck are we giving settlers money to go and live there? Okay? Because the Israeli government's position was different than the Israeli population's opinion on the matter. The Israeli population's opinion was, why the fuck are we giving money to the settlers? They're freeloaders. They're also crazy, kooky religious guys that think like they can just go there and bulldoze Palestinian houses. The Interior Ministry openly stated time and time again that this presented a major security threat, because the more you fucking kill people in the West Bank, the more the entirety of the Palestinian population is going to say, what the fuck are you doing? And they said, you're woke. Shut the fuck up, woke person. How dare you tell me? Yeah, here, look. Look at this. I mean, let's see if I can get this without the paywall here. But here, the leftist deep state agenda has infiltrated the Shin Bet. Israeli minister slams security chief. Members of Netanyahu's coalition criticized the head of the Shin Bet security service after he warned Netanyahu about the dangers of Israeli Jewish terrorism. Shin Bet chief Ronen Bar warned Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that Israeli Jewish terror fans the flames of Palestinian terror, according to a report by the Israeli online outlet Ynet News. They knew, there are plenty of people that know that the more you fucking kill people in the West Bank, the more people go fucking crazy for understandable reasons. You can only push people so far until they strike back when they feel as though they have nothing. It's fucking nuts. Anyone and everyone that is not on board with the ultra-nationalist, hyper-right-wing, straight-up, openly fascist agenda of Ben Gvir and so many other so many other coalitions that Bibi Netanyahu had to build specifically so he doesn't fucking go to prison, okay? Those people are not popular internally inside of Israel either, because there's plenty of liberal Israelis who themselves are Zionists, who themselves do not even think of Palestinians as human beings, going, dog, this is too much. This is too much. You're doing too much. And you think you can get away with it, but eventually this level of violence, even if you do not have a moral distaste for, okay, even if you do not consider it to be abhorrent and immoral, you still recognize that from a realistic perspective, this level of violence is going to beget violence. This level of violence is going to inevitably cause blowback. And that is precisely what is happening today. And now you're seeing what is going on. People say, oh my God, Iran, evil. Iran is so evil. Iran is so evil for supporting Palestinians. Like the war between Israel and Iran, And it's like, bro, they have no one else to rely on. The Palestinian people have no one else to rely on but Hamas. They literally have been backed into a fucking corner where the fundamentalist Islamist group is the only people that are like, fuck this shit. We have to engage in violent struggle. Think about that. Think about that situation. If you want the violence to end, you have to make amends. If you want the violence to end, you have to end the occupation. Consistently pushing these people into a corner is demonstrably a failure. Okay? That is the reason why what happened over the weekend happened. And there are people inside of Israel, and there are plenty of, and I'm not even talking about like anti-fascist Jews, okay? Like there are plenty of Zionists who fucking recognize that. If you think that Shin Bet is like a bunch of libtards, I don't know what to fucking tell you, okay? People have been predicting this for a very long time, okay? They've been predicting that this was going to happen for a very long time, and now it's happening. Israeli Army radio says we've stopped using warning missiles in Gaza and will instead use mass evacuation. Much more damage and death toll is wished. I don't know if that's real or not, but it doesn't even matter. The warning missiles are also bullshit anyway. They've never been real. I'm not surprised if you get canceled on Twitch. Yeah, I don't think I will get canceled on Twitch. This is not new. You might be here for the first time in your life, hearing me talk about this kind of thing for the first time in your life. Maybe you just are now paying attention to what's going on, but this is something that I have been defending and talking about for a very long time. It's not warning missiles not real. You saw it live on Al Jazeera, brother. I don't think you understand. Warning missiles are fucking bullshit. Okay, the idea that warning missiles make Israel the most moral army on the planet is a laughable notion. Your mentality is so distorted at that point that you literally think that this is a good way to describe like mass ethnic cleansing of a people that you've literally fucking trapped inside of this like strip of land. That is a psychotic notion. Oh, dude, think about it this way. I am the most successful military apparatus on the fucking planet, let's say, and you are living in your house, and I tell you, boom, I threw a dud on top of your fucking building, your residential house, okay, the house that you live in. I threw a fucking bomb that's a dud to warn you that you have 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 15 minutes to get out because I'm blowing up your house. You think that's an acceptable position? You think that somehow is permissible? You think that that's somehow just? This kind of dehumanizing rhetoric, this kind of like willing and deliberate way of making Palestinian people out to be like subhuman and constant fucking the constant recipient of this kind of violence is literally the reason why this is happening. Don't ban that person yet, okay? Don't ban that person yet. He said, lol, Hamas violently took over the government, okay? He said, lol, Hamas violently took over the government. Warning missiles not real? You saw it live on Al Jazeera, and then said, why does Hamas mix infrastructure with civilians? I wonder why. Do you know anything about Hamas? Do you understand how Hamas operates? Did you know that Hamas is the governing body of Gaza? Did you know that, like, yeah, sure, they don't have, like, real fucking elections any longer, but do you understand that the people of Palestine in general now look to Hamas as the only fucking way out of the situation that they're in. You can say they slaughtered their opponents. Maybe you should also recognize that part of the reason why Hamas was able to capture so much power inside of the Palestinian government apparatus is literally because Israel saw them as a delicate and a very adequate counterbalance to the more popular secular formations. Okay? That's why Israel did some America shit and thought, oh, they'll just fight amongst themselves. We'll just like push the scales in the direction of Hamas and the fundamentalists so that, you know, the more popular secular formations can fucking go away. And then they killed all the socialists. It's nuts to me that to have this kind of attitude when you say, why does Hamas mix their infrastructure with civilians in like the most densely populated open air prison? What the fuck are you saying? What are you saying? Where is the government supposed to be? It is a false notion. It is a complete falsehood, a fabrication to justify the endless bloodshed, to say they're using human shields. Because I will flip this argument on its head and ask you, perhaps they thought that their oppressors were human and thought that even the most inhumane oppressor is not going to bomb a school. And of course they were wrong, and they know that they were wrong. They're always wrong on that front. It's crazy to me that we treat Israel like this unstoppable force, like they are not human beings that are making these decisions to bomb schools, mosques, hospitals, and also the Associated Press building. And as long as they can say, hey, guess what? Actually, sorry, there's a Hamas there, even though there is never any fucking evidence whatsoever for the record, okay? Then it's fine. It's perfectly fine. Hamas is everywhere. Hamas is everywhere. It's like, yeah. After a certain point, Hamas does get to be everywhere. You want to know why? Because if you keep pushing these people, then Hamas is the only out that they have. Oh, yeah. Sorry. When there was a peaceful march to return to Israel, we had to snipe 12-year-olds and pregnant women and doctors and people who are a part of the press, which we still continue to do because Hamas is using them as human shields. You know what I mean? There is no singular way to make this argument. There is no way that you can make this argument from a morality point of view. Okay? You can hyper focus on it all day, every day. You can say, well, what about this? What about that? What about this? What about that? No one ever calls Israeli officials to question when they are a well-developed state that has consistently oppressed the Palestinian people and killed them in ways that like Hamas wishes they could fucking touch Israel with. Okay? People are like, oh, I can't believe they like are openly shooting people out in the streets. It's like, what do you think Israel has been doing? There is no comparison. Okay? There's no comparison. Unless you look at Israelis and say they are the humans, and you look at Palestinians and you say they are the dogs. And for the record, once again, you can say whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. You can get so fucking rabid. You can get so fucking angry. But ultimately, it doesn't change the reality because even liberal Zionists inside of Israel are saying that this level of anger that you are directing, this level of violence that you are subjugating the Palestinian people to is the reason why Israelis are dying. Okay? You can fucking keep saying like, oh, why don't you denounce Hamas? Why don't you denounce the murders? Why don't you denounce the civilian deaths? It's like, of course, dude. What do you think? You think it's fucking awesome that civilians are dying? No, of course not, you fucking idiot. You are trying to shadow box. You are trying to shadow box desperately. Because you know that there is no real reason for, there's no real way out of this other than scaling back Israel's war crimes. Okay? You don't want to address the actual root cause of the problem, so you just desperately want to fucking find a shadow to tackle, and be like, oh, seems like you love Hamas. Yeah, dude. Big fan of Islamist fundamentalists, dude. Big fan. Definitely. Like, totally. Why does it feel like Israel's always in the hot seat for anything? Seriously, Hamas has been launching a bunch of missiles. Brother, if you ask this question then either you are completely oblivious to the reality of the occupation and how brutal it is, or you are cynically saying this because you know others are. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy to me, dude. That's crazy. Just look up literally one stat. Look up the United Nations numbers. Look up Amnesty International or the Human Rights Watch. These are not fucking communists, okay? These are just simply NGOs that oftentimes work at the behest of the Western world. But the Israeli apartheid has gotten to such a severe point of violence that internally that violence is being criticized by people who want the maintenance of the Israeli state to continue. Do you understand? When you have liberal Zionists turning around and going, dog, this violence is the reason why Israelis are dying today. We need to fucking scale it back. That's crazy. Where's my link? You can't link unless you're subscribed because, obviously if everyone could fucking send all of their links willy-nilly without subscribing, then this fucking, we could have like bot raids in here with like keylogger links and shit. You can also avoid the top of the hour ad break by subscribing. That's another amenity that you get when you do subscribe. Here's the 3-minute ad break now at the top of the hour. Like I said, if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. Yeah, and by the way, I do think that this is going to get much worse because Hezbollah is most likely going to mobilize. You have Syrian fighters, you have Hezbollah, and you have Iran, okay? You're activating all of these people. And let me tell you something. Hezbollah is not fucking Hamas, okay? They are actual fighters with literal fucking fighting experience. They are probably one of the more effective forces in the Middle East. The IRGC as well. These are guys who fucking fight all the time. You want to know why? Because they've been fighting against the fucking the ISIS extremists and even Al-Qaeda at certain fucking points. They've been literally engaging and mobilizing against all of the same terror cells that America has been fighting in perpetuity. So they have a lot of fucking experience. So them going in and going against an occupying force that doesn't have a lot of experience fighting, unless it's a fucking 14-year-old on the way to school, is going to not look so great. Okay? It's not. You can have all the fucking weapons in the world, but ultimately, you still need fighting experience. So when that happens, when that mobilization occurs, we are in fucking we're all hands on deck bedlam. Okay? Oh, George Galloway Schools of Zionist Part 1? What? Why does it feel like Israel's always in the hot seat for anything? Seriously, Hamas has been launching a bunch of missiles at Israeli citizens, and then today I stumbled upon this UK politician, George Galloway, who's been calling Israel a racist apartheid state. What? Yeah, brother, Israel is a racist apartheid state. That is true. If you do not recognize the current formation of the Israeli state to be an apartheid state, I don't know what to tell you. You are just denying objective reality, okay? It's true. Dude, how... I can't. I don't know. I don't understand how you can look at this. Well, I guess I can understand how you can look at this because, of course, in a situation where you have people who are under the oppressive arm of the apartheid state and you have people who are living in the more comfortable apartheid state side, yeah, of course you're going to empathize more if you're an American with the people that are living inside of the military apparatus that is that is seen as like a full-blown citizen and not those who are fucking getting owned. You also won't even hear about the persecution and the systemic oppression and the violence that they're subjected to. So you don't have the interest in understanding or empathizing, and the media certainly is not making it easy for you to see it either. A lot of Americans just don't know what life is like for Gaza, so here's an analogy that might help. Imagine Gaza as Rhode Island. Yeah, here's what it would look like. Anyone from Rhode Island would be trapped within its borders. Rhode Islanders can't leave without express permission from Massachusetts. Connecticut is complicit in this plan, effectively restricting any movement from those trapped in Rhode Island. Keep in mind, Rhode Island is the second most densely populated in the U.S. with 10x more land and half the amount of people in the Gaza Strip. If we do basic proportion of this analogy, Rhode Island's population would have to be 26 million people. Despite hearing a lot of scary stuff about people of Rhode Island, over 40% of its 26 million people is 14 or younger. Over 40% of the Gaza Strip is 14 and under. Do you understand? That's who you're bombing when you're bombing Gaza. That's who you're bombing. 2 million kids, dude. Well, not all of them are children. There's a lot of elderly, too. Think about that. The average age in Gaza is 18. That's who you're fucking bombing when you're bombing. And then they say, oh my God, Hamas is using them as human shields. These children have known nothing but bloodshed. Israel just cut the remaining water supply that they had. 97% of the water is toxic. Over 50% of Gazan children have PTSD. They're depressive, they're depressed, they're suicidal, they have no outlet, they have nothing. Their existence is a crime because they were born on the wrong side of a fucking fence. A fence that Israel put up. A fence that originally Britain put up and also allowed Israel to facilitate and continue. And the Western world continues that apartheid state. Nelson Mandela town hall interview. Yesterday you said you wanted to cover South Africa more with respect to comparison to Israel. If you want to cover it here, there are good timestamps from the town hall Mandela did in 1990. Here are good timestamps that are relevant. 9 minutes, 19 minutes. Bro, this person keeps saying, read old logs, please. I'm going to lose my fucking mind. Why? Why do you keep asking? I don't understand the high support for Israel, though. What the fuck is this?
Several celebrities have copped backlash for...
What do you mean you don't understand the high support for Israel? First of all, Gal Gadot literally served in the IDF. Of course she's fucking going to be supporter for Israel. And why the fuck wouldn't the celebrity support Israel? A lot of people think that celebrities are like somehow smarter than the average person. Look to your fucking community. Look around. Look at Reddit. Who do you think, why do you think they have a high level of support for Israel? Because it is almost impossible to empathize with the colonized if you are living in America. That's number one. And number two, it's not like the media makes a deliberate effort to educate people and they simply propagandize the apartheid state. America especially is egregious when this in this propaganda. Okay? Why do you think the support for Palestinians in Ireland, another Western nation, is so fucking high historically in comparison to every other nation in the West? Think about it. There are so many reasons as to why Americans view Palestinians as terrorists. The war on terror is another reason, okay? The fact that they're aligned with Iran is another reason because that's like one of the only places that they can get actual fucking support from. There are spiritual reasons, obviously, like I said, the dialectic between those who are colonized and those who are the colonizers. Obviously, Americans are going to be more empathetic to the colonizer, considering our current circumstances and how this nation state was developed. But then beyond that, the media is doing round-the-clock propaganda. The media is doing round-the-clock propaganda, and I don't mean like this past week. I mean in perpetuity. It goes all the way from the neutral coverage whenever Israel is retaliating and they're forced to retaliate, all the way to when a Palestinian kills an Israeli, that's a murder. When an Israeli kills a Palestinian, that's just simply collateral damage. That is always the coverage. That has never changed. Okay? So if every single person is seeing it like that, and there is no one out there that is actually in mainstream circles genuinely advocating for the plight of Palestinians and actually describing what the situation looks like regularly with the same severity and fervor that mainstream media engages in the other side's propaganda on, you're never, like, it's designed to churn out these results. Like, think about it. And then even when you do actually end up talking about Israel's atrocities, okay, atrocities that has caused this last security fuck up, by the way, for multiple different reasons. Even when you cover it, people come in here, even now, and say, Hassan, you're a fucking piece of shit. You love Hamas. You want like gang rape, systematic gang rape to happen in Israel or something. Like, people do not want to address the situation accurately. Oh, you're anti-Semitic. Actually, well, luckily, I don't get hit with the Hassan, you're anti-Semitic stuff. No, not to bring it on, but I don't like that people are using Hamas and Palestine interchangeably, not you. I don't think you understand the situation on the ground. I think that you and many others like you understandably want to remove Hamas from the interests of Palestinians when the Palestinians on the ground do not see it as a separate entity. Palestinians inside, trapped in the West Bank or trapped inside of Gaza, see Hamas currently as the only group, the only entity that will fight back for the security of Palestinian people. Do you understand? They see it that way. That's why Hamas, over the recent years, has gotten 53% support. Again, Israel's fault entirely, and that's not me saying that. Okay? That is not me saying that. That is the Israeli Interior Ministry's own assessment of the situation. And it's not simply just what they're doing in Gaza, but it's also what they're doing in the West Bank. Okay? What is this? Oh, the Prime Minister of Israel is tweeting out footage of his country bombing Gaza and his civilians. Yeah. Straight up. They're posting this like it's a dub, dude. Just wiping out entire city blocks where people live, children live, and then posting it as like this major fucking dub. How can you assume this when you are not there? I guess we have to sometimes go back to like principles in general, like the concept of education, learning, reading, understanding, reading comprehension, critical thinking, surveys, just simply talking to Palestinians living in Palestine. I think, maybe you can figure it out that way. Like, I cover a litany of different issues. Hamas hides behind civilians. Brother, that's not true, because there is no way for them to hide behind anybody else. They are stuck inside of Gaza. Okay? They are stuck inside of Gaza. There is nowhere to go. Okay? I thought the chat would be more educated, but it's just infuriating. No, this chat is one of the more educated groups when it comes to this kind of conversation. It's just that doesn't stop people from coming in to specifically try to do bad faith debates deliberately. That's it. Do not be discouraged just because people are coming in here to try to get their licks in. Dude, do you think Israeli brass would get bloodthirsty enough to just to the point of just nuking Gaza? Palestine doesn't have nukes and doesn't have a security guarantee from a nuclear state. The only reason why they will never nuke Gaza is because they would nuke themselves if they nuked Gaza. That would be ridiculous. I don't think there's any tactical nuke out there where the nuclear fallout would not literally directly radiate and harm the Israeli people living inside of the Israeli border. Do you know that Israel sends a warning before each missile strike? If Hamas doesn't want civilians to be killed, why are they shooting rockets from hospitals and houses? Also, keep ignoring Hamas and people in Gaza literally celebrating killing innocent civilians and kidnapping and sitting on naked bodies of women. I never ignored any of those things, but I will say once again, if I sent a warning shot to your house before I wiped it out, I think you would probably also have some feelings about me. Like violent feelings. The idea that so many people, I think, like feel comfortable just repeating this, like Israel is the most moral army on the planet line, the propaganda line, is actually kind of funny because it demonstrates how big of a bubble that they have existed inside of. You describe this to any other human being, they're going to go, what? Did you just say it's okay to bomb an open air prison as long as you tell people to like evacuate the hospital immediately? Like, you have lost your mind, okay? Like, you have no basic dignity or respect for humanity at that point. Do you understand? Like, is it okay? So Russia's crime in Ukraine isn't simply invading Ukraine and killing everybody. It's that they're not giving warning shots. Is that what it is? Do you feel like that would be adequate? Because remember, I have always maintained the position that the people of Ukraine deserve emancipation from Russian invasion. Okay? Always. Always. Wait, what? Ukraine didn't attack Russia, though? What do you mean? So the Palestinians attacked Israelis? Is that what you're saying? You think the Palestinians were menacingly attacking Israelis by living there before the British mandate came in and thought, you should live here instead? Like, what the fuck are you saying? It's so convenient that every single time Israel retaliates, against an unprovoked attack, history starts exactly at that moment. Okay? Not a moment before and not a moment after. History starts immediately at Hamas firing rockets or Hamas actually invading Israeli borders. History did not exist a moment before that. And they're doing it because they're bad. They can be bad, and they are, okay? But that doesn't change the reality that, like, the people look to them as the only force of violent emancipation. What is this? If Gaza is an open-air prison that is under siege, explain the following. High obesity rate, oodles of luxury goods. Gaza shares a border with Egypt. If there's a blockade... Bro, this is... Oh, for the record, this is identical to Nazi arguments against the Holocaust. High obesity rate does not... First of all, not even entirely sure if that's the case, but I'm pretty sure that's just a lie. But also, high obesity rate does not mean that, that does not mean that, like, people are actually healthy, dumbass. Wow, imagine supporting a group of militants murdering and targeting civilians. I thought you were better than this, Hassan. I myself support Israel, which obviously hasn't targeted any civilians and only kills 14-year-old Hamas terrorists. By the way, did I tell you about the idea of being vegan? That part, but also... the idea, oh my God, it's just shockingly obese people are not so healthy. I mean, I didn't know that there was a high obesity rate in Gaza. I'm shocked if that is true even. I definitely know that oodles of luxury goods do not exist in Gaza. You know what I mean? So I think that is an abject lie. Hold on. Oh. But for the water issues, maybe stop digging up water infrastructure and materials to build rockets. I don't know. Also, relying on your supposed oppressor for water and electricity is just wild. Yeah, it is wild. It's so crazy how that situation occurred. But it's certainly not an open-air prison. But they are not allowed to even create water desalination plants. Yeah. Again, you cannot make this argument and make it make sense because of the reality of how fucking insane the situation on the ground is, how cruel and inhumane the situation on the ground is. So, of course, even when you try to cut propaganda, you just either come across like a fucking moron like this guy, or you literally end up saying shit, and this is my favorite type of Israeli defense brigade troll, I guess, is... They regularly use Israel's own fucking war crimes to make it seem like it's actually the Palestinians are doing that. Like, you saw the fucking footage of the babies locked in cages, right? And they were like, I cannot believe Hamas is locking little babies in cages. And it's like, no, dog, that's Israel. They are doing that to the Palestinians. That's crazy. What is this? This seems relevant. Violence never solves anything. Send them every tank in existence. I don't want to have this argument over and over again, okay? Yeah, I really didn't think I needed to say that the situation over there is heartbreaking and terrible. It's fucking crazy to send someone a message like, are you against rape and murder? Have you tried being normal? And this is ignoring you're from Long Island or whatever. Yeah. People immediately go, oh, dude, you are in support of, like, the roving Muslim barbarian gangs of rapists that have infiltrated Israel to do rapes, to do mass rapes. That is like how do you not see what the fuck's going on there? How do you not recognize, like, what you are participating in? Like, the barbarian Muslim hordes are there to do rapes. Gaza has an obesity rate of 20%, which is around the same as war-torn Yemen. Nothing like the 40 to 50% in rich Gulf countries. It might just be a genetic predisposition to obesity, low BMR among Arabs. Can you explain why this isn't about religion? Why the fuck would this be about religion? Religion is a tool. Religion is a tool to galvanize. Religion is a tool to weaponize. Religion is not the real reason why people engage in any kind of conquest of land, okay? Religion is just used in that situation. To give you a sense of how effectively Western political leadership is working right now, the EU first said it was suspending all aid to Palestinians. Then it was pointed out that this aid wasn't going to Hamas anyway, and Ireland, Spain, and others objected. So the EU says, never mind. So, for the record, not giving aid to Palestinians is literally against the interests of Israel. Donald Trump tried to lower the amount of aid that Palestinians were receiving. You know who fucking said you can't do that? Israel. You want to know why? Because the less aid Palestinians get from Western sources, which is already marginal to begin with, the more they get from Iran. Even Israelis understand that. Even the guys who are literally like, this is our open air prison, dog, even they recognize it. And it's not because of a morality point of view. That's what I'm saying. Because fascism is inherently a self-defeating ideal, okay? It is self-defeating. You will inevitably erode your own sense of security, which is happening right now. The more you push, the more people are finally going to recognize that they have no other option. And let me tell you, Palestinians can't fucking get on the first flight from the Gurion airport back to Long Island, okay? They're there. They're stuck. So they're going to fucking inevitably go, I'm pushed into a goddamn corner. I have to fight back. Holy land, this forever conflict, the hatred that fuels all, it stems from religion. Yeah, dude, that's why fucking Theodore Herzl was like, we should go to Argentina or Uganda to build the Jewish land. Like, no, man, that's just a way to fucking justify it. What the fuck are you talking about? Shut the fuck up, atheist. Jesus Christ, your horniness for like how much you hate religion ends up causing you to do bad analysis. It's like saying Hamas, or it's like saying Palestinians across the board are just like rabid Muslims and that's why they hate Israel. Because Israelis are all Jews. Like, what are you doing? If that was the case, why the fuck are they owning the Palestinian Christians of the West Bank? Why are they not making any fucking differences there? I'm only showing you the difference between IDF and Hamas. IDF doesn't target civilians, only specific military targets. No, dude, you're doing propaganda. IDF, of course, targets civilians. You're a fucking idiot if you think that that is not the case. Literally look at one singular number. Please look at a single fucking statistic of how many civilians have been injured or died. 5,900 civilians before this last fucking blood and soil conquest in Gaza. On the Palestinian side to 260 on the Israeli side. Okay? You're out of your fucking mind. It's so odd. It's such a fucking weird and idiotic point to constantly try to hammer in, and it doesn't work outside of like your immediate circle of influence. You understand that? If you come into a place like this and you try to make this argument, you are going to get yelled at because it's insane. Imagine being like, dude, Israel actually doesn't target civilians at all. So what the fuck's going on in the West Bank? What happened? Did 5,900 Palestinian civilians fucking perish on their own? How do we get to a point where Gaza is 40%? 40% of, more than 40% of Gazans are under the age of 14. How did that happen? Was that just like, they were just like, hey, we're all teenagers. We love, being teenage dirtbags, baby. 5,590 deaths on the Palestinian side to 251 on the Israeli side. How does that work? How does this disproportionate violence happen? And by the way, you want to know what this 31,000 number is? That is the peaceful march to return. That's when Palestinians in Gaza, trapped in the largest open-air prison on the fucking planet, decided to demonstrate peacefully. And you know what they did? You know what Israel did? They shot them and they killed them. Pregnant women, 14-year-old girls, okay? They shot them. They kneecapped them deliberately, okay? There is no world in which you can defend this monstrosity. You can't do that. Just because the entire world didn't give a fuck doesn't mean it didn't happen, dude. 31,558 Palestinians were shot. There were snipers on the Israeli side that literally said they were deliberately taking 42 kneecaps a day. They shot medics. They shot journalists and killed them. They fucking killed a beloved journalist in a refugee camp and then tried to say Palestinians did it like literally a couple months ago. An American citizen. But because they are ostensibly on the side of truth and believe that Palestinians deserve humanity, then they are an enemy combatant, despite the fact that they literally had a helmet that said press and a fucking armor that said press on it, and they still got shot in the fucking neck deliberately by an IDF sniper. And then they turned around and they fucking lied and said the Palestinians actually shot that person. And then it didn't end there. When the Palestinians tried to have a funeral for this person, the IDF came in and beat the fuck out of them. What do you do in that situation? You think that's just? You think that's the most moral army in the world? If you think that that is the most moral army in the fucking world, you are the most immoral person I have ever fucking seen in my entire life. Yeah. Even American media was like, yeah, dog, that's crazy. Literally kill people on camera and blame Palestinians is just insane, the cognitive dissonance people have. Yes. To show you the cruelty of the Israeli siege of Gaza, Senator John Kerry, an enemy of Palestinians, mind you, once urged the Israeli government to allow pasta into Gaza. Pasta was on the list of prohibited items. They raided her funeral. Dude, look at this. Human cost from 2008 to 2023, leading up to this this moment on October 7th, okay? You really think that this is comparable in any way? You think that this is comparable at all? Here, look at what they did.
Trying to get inside.
This is what they fucking did.
Israeli.
Here.
The Al Jazeera reporter was
I have
shot
to pee.
in the
I'll be
head
back in a
while
second.
covering a raid by Israeli forces in the occupied West Bank on Wednesday. Earlier today, an Israeli officer was shot dead and several Palestinians injured during an army raid to make arrests near Jenin in the West Bank. It follows several weeks of mounting violence with dozens killed on both sides. Our Middle East correspondent Tom Bateman reports.
Shireen Abu Akleh was one of the best-known voices to Palestinians. Now in death, a national symbol. But grief for a revered reporter was to turn to fear and panic for the mourners. Israel's security forces had entered the hospital gates as Palestinians tried to walk the coffin out. The police fired stun grenades and pushed the crowd back. Many rushed for cover inside.
We've had complete chaos with people trying to get inside. I saw a woman with a very young baby, a patient or somebody who was here just at the hospital, caught in the middle of a huge crowd trying to get inside.
And even the pallbearers had to retreat as police kicked and beat them with batons. And the coffin slips to the ground. The force says it acted to stop what it called incitement and stone throwing. Shireen Abu Akleh was shot in the head covering an arrest raid by Israel's army. Reporters on the scene say the gunfire came from the soldiers, but Israel maintains Palestinian gunmen may have fired the fatal shot.
It's censored.
It was
It's
time
censored.
to say a final goodbye. At her Christian funeral mass,
they wouldn't even let her fucking. They wouldn't even give her the dignity. They wouldn't even let her have a fucking funeral, dog. Get the fuck out of here, okay? Get the absolute fuck out of here. You're crazy. You're crazy. There is no justification for this. In many instances, it is simply just violence for the sake of violence, brutality for the sake of brutality. They did it because they don't care, because these people are not actually fucking, like, they don't see Palestinians as humans. And if you do say Palestinians are humans, you're also an enemy. If you're critical of the Israeli state, then you are an anti-Semite. There is no way out. Okay? Yeah. Also, it's just religion falls apart. It's just religion is inherently a fucking anti-Semitic argument in this situation. What are you saying then? Like that Jews are somehow incapable of exercising self-control and they just like hate all of the other religions? Like that's not the case at all. It's ridiculous. There are secular Jews living inside of Israel. They are the ones who are fucking also fighting against the Israeli far right. This kind of violence is so unjustifiable. And here it is. Here is Netanyahu saying anyone who wants to thwart the establishment of a Palestinian state has to support bolstering Hamas and transferring money to Hamas. Netanyahu told his Likud party's Knesset members in March 2019. This is a part of our strategy. Another concept implodes. Israel can't be managed by a criminal defendant. A direct line runs between the judicial overhaul and the Gaza war. Why are even the Zionists pointing this out? Okay? Why are Zionists pointing this out? Because, once again, fascism is a death cult. And the more fascist you get, the more you harm yourself. White supremacy is a death cult. It kills white people too. Okay? And it's the same for the ultra-Zionist far right in Israel. Okay? The more you fucking squeeze and the more you think you can get out of the Palestinians, the more you can back them into a fucking corner, the more you lose sight of treating your own people. Why do almost all countries follow the Israeli narrative and disregard the Palestinian one? No. My friend, you live in the Western world. You live in the imperial core. And that is the reason why you think that almost all countries follow the Israeli narrative and disregard the Palestinian one. That is not the case. If you look at the world map of countries that have declared help to the Palestinian people, you will realize that country, the map looks, and then you look at the countries that have actually, offered aid to Ukraine, for example. Okay, you realize that it's the exact opposite map. The entire world recognizes Palestinian statehood outside of the imperial core. Now, obviously, the reality is this is reductive still. There are still countries that are, back and forth and will offer not unconditional aid, but then there's also fucking nation states that are claiming to be in support of Palestine and recognize Palestinian statehood, like the Gulf nations and shit. You know what I mean? This is not a perfect map. So don't try to do a gotcha in here. Ultimately, there is a large number of people who do recognize Palestinian statehood. Okay? The people recognize it. I think one of the craziest parts about this story, however, is the reality that the Palestinian coalition that took hostages and brought them back into Gaza thought, and this is their statement, okay, thought that Israel would not be as brutal. They literally said, we are treating these hostages, we are holding on to these hostages because we want to ensure that whatever you do to us, you do to them as well. They wanted collateral damage for Israelis, specifically because they know that they're not human, right? Palestinians are not fucking human. So they were like, we will bring humans, people that you think are worth 1,000 Palestinian lives. We will bring them inside of the borders with hopes that you will not fucking do an endless bombing campaign. And guess what happened? They still did it. They don't give a fuck. They don't give a shit. As a Palestinian, I'm shocked when people are as educated as you are rather than when people aren't. A country recognizing Palestinians is vastly different than actual people and individuals throughout the world doing the acknowledgement and educating themselves on the conflict. You're confused as to why Canada is in support of Israel? Israel is an ally to the West. Okay? Now Hamas is threatening to publicly execute the hostages. Yeah, you know what? You know what is crazy? First of all, I don't trust the Wall Street Journal. Let me just say. But they might actually do that. They might actually claim to do that. That is, it doesn't matter. That plays into the hands of whatever the Israeli military was going to say when the inevitable death and destruction of the Israelis that are currently being held captive in Gaza happens. Also, let me tell you why I don't trust the Wall Street Journal. Because yesterday, Wall Street Journal was like, oh, dude, Iran definitely is the reason why Hamas did this. Okay, Iran and Hamas are collaborating. The American State Department said, we have no information. This is probably true, by the way. Hamas is probably threatening to execute Israelis in response to the bombing of Gaza. Terrible mistake. Oh, wait, hold on. No. Evet, koy, dolaba koy, ne olur. I can't. Dolaba koy, içeri aldım ben. Sen dolaba koy, yeter. Oh my God. Doesn't it make sense after Iran received $6 billion that they would help Palestine? First of all, do I think that Iran is helping Hamas? Of course. Do I think Iran is helping Palestinians? Of course. I'm shocked that the IDF's own internal spokesperson and the American State Department, however, has said that that is not happening. This is a last-ditch effort by the Palestinians. It's not going to do anything. They're done. Once Israel decided, no, we're going to keep the bombing campaign. We're going to keep doing the bombing campaign, and even if our bombs killed Israeli citizens that are currently held hostage, it's done. It's over. Anti-Defamation League director asks if Hamas is writing MSNBC scripts in coverage of attack on Israel. That's crazy. The retaliatory threat to execute hostages was broadcast on Al Jazeera. Yeah, it seems like they're saying this is a last-ditch effort. There's nothing left for them. It's only going to get worse from here on out. Yesterday, you said that if the IDF started bombing Gaza and the hostages there, that the Israeli people would riot and protest. Do you still think it's going to happen, or are the Israeli people going to rally behind Netanyahu and go full genocide? I don't think Israel is interested in facilitating a prisoner swap or even caring for the Israeli citizens that have been taken hostage. It seems as though the Israeli government's position is, like I told you, it could be, those guys are dead already. I don't think it is getting public attention it needs, so I write as clearly as possible. There's an exchange deal that is currently on the government's table. The release of all women, children, and the elderly held in Gaza in exchange for 36 Palestinian women imprisoned in Israel. The government refuses. The captive citizens must not be abandoned. The government needs to come to its senses immediately. There have been numerous exit ramps for the increasingly violent Israeli government in every part of this conflict, in every part of its maintenance of its apartheid state that they have just launched their vehicles off of. For the record, chat, this person is an Israeli citizen in Israel. It's not like this person is some random fucking guy in the West. It's crazy Israel are willing to risk their hostages to bomb non-strategic apartment buildings and shit. No, I think I told you guys this. There was a closed-door meeting where the far-right elements within the Israeli security apparatus said those guys are as good as dead. I thought that there would be too much pushback from inside of Israel, like the Israeli left or what remains. And I'm talking Zionists, like Israeli liberals who are Zionists themselves. I thought that they would say, what the fuck are you doing? You're killing our own people. And there would be all bedlam. I might be wrong. I thought that that was the reason why they would, at the very least, I thought that was the reason why they were doing a ground invasion and risking the lives of Israeli soldiers instead of an endless bombing campaign. But they haven't stopped their bombing campaign at all. If the Israeli government lets the hostages die, do you think it would be a turning point in Israeli politics? I don't know. What do you think is an appropriate response? The murder, rape, and mass shooting should be. I mean, first of all, that's a really interesting question that you bring up, because I don't know if you're saying that specifically about the Israeli apartheid state and the violence of its maintenance, because that is exactly what you described, or if you're talking about what the Palestinian incursion was only a day or two ago. Because I can't tell, because one is like a one-off, the other is literally a systematic deliberate attempt at violently purging Palestinian people. And for the record, in the fog of war, or whenever things are happening, whenever there's an active situation, people immediately rush to put judgments forward. Do I believe that rape happens in war? Abso-fucking-lutely. Okay? It is not unlikely that it has happened. I have yet to see evidence of it, however. The evidence I thought people had, because everyone was just like going along with this like systematic mass rape is occurring and you're fucking turning a blind eye to it, which, by the way, even if that isn't happening, 250 concert goers still fucking died. Okay? Like, there's plenty of things you can point to that is still very brutal and awful in general. Okay? Stupid question, but how does Hamas acquire weapons with the blockades? I mean, there's a will, there's a way. Iran. Yeah. Israel pouring cement on water springs used by Palestinians. Yeah, I mean, this is like... this in and of itself, for the record, is like daily existence in the West Bank. This is the collaborative experience. I don't know if this is specifically from the West Bank. The hostage swap seems like fake news. That would have been reported on by Al Jazeera at least. Well, fake news coming from a still Israeli, like an Israeli outlet. I saw on the news today a guy who lives in Gaza said that Israelis are raping Palestinian women. Yes, Israelis raping Palestinian women is a well-documented part of Israelis' apartheid apparatus. So that part is not... that part, of course, comes with the territory of humiliation, subjugation, and that part is real. It's just you will never hear about it from those people who are now running with the narrative that like Hamas actually went into Israel, or Palestinians went into Israel specifically to do mass gang rapes or some shit. And I'm not even saying that is impossible. Of course it's not impossible. It is very possible. A disorganized military apparatus, no rules of engagement whatsoever, very little training, very little resources. It's slated to happen. Okay? It's just that, like, I don't know. I haven't, like, even the people that say that this is definitely something that happened, like Noah Opinion was like running with that. And when someone questioned him, when it was like, where did you get this information from? Like, I'm genuinely trying to find out. He was like, oh, well, I actually don't know. I saw a video and it looked like it was maybe someone was raped in the video. Which is like, that's insane. Like, what the fuck? There are miles between mass gang rape is occurring inside of the Israeli borders in the hands of like the Palestinian roving gangs of Muslims that are engaging in like gang rape and oh, I saw a video and it looked like it might have happened beforehand. It's always like battling hypotheticals. And once again, I am not stating that is impossible, okay? It is certainly possible. Mohammed Al-Kurd interviewed with the LBC. Boris Johnson's sister interviewed me today. Jesus Christ, dude.
Situation of lose-lose, which has been obtaining for far too long, for decades, really since the inception of the State of Israel, because the security situation for Israelis isn't great. The security situation and the conditions for Palestinians in occupied territories is acknowledged to be terrible. So how can lose-lose ever become win-win? Is there ever a situation that you envisage?
It's certainly not. It's certainly not lose. Let's start here. It's certainly not a lose-lose situation. There is one population that lives under a system which has been deemed by many global human rights organizations as a system of apartheid. Me and my family are not citizens of the State of Israel. Despite living in Jerusalem, we live in constant fear of settler expansion, of home demolition, of home evictions and home expulsions. I fear for my life. I do not have the luxury of having a shelter to run into, let alone another passport that I could just use to run to another country the second there's an alarm going off. I do not have any of those luxuries. It is not a win-win. There's a population that lives inside a cage without citizenship, without right to movement, without access to clean water, and there's a population that enjoys its full rights. I mean, if your major concern is that they have some bits of anxiety here and there when Hamas fires.
I think you are minimizing. You're minimizing the Israeli experience in the last 36 hours.
I think when you compare an occupied population, a population that has been ethnically cleansed, a population that lives under a system of apartheid, to a population that is afraid of the population that is occupying, you are minimizing.
Yeah. These are some good retorts overall. The source, the singular source, is just from Tablet, where some lady apparently said, not even the article confirms it. It says a guy who claimed to have seen a video, so many degrees of separation. Yeah, the source of the entire like mass gangs of rapists are like doing mass rape, which by the way is not even wrong. It like was first and foremost pushed by like supposedly liberal Palestine supporters who went along with it, even in this fucking community, which once again, I'm not saying this did not happen, okay? I'm not saying that this did not happen. There is a likelihood, there's a high likelihood that it could have, okay? But the idea that like there is systematic mass rape of like rapist, gang rape occurring, like that's why they came into Israel, is what I have seen so much from a lot of people who are saying that this is going on, and then saying that this is the main reason as to why they're doing this. And not only that, but also they've moved beyond saying that, but then also saying people are defending this rape. Okay? That people are actually just saying this is totally permissible. This rape is totally permissible. It's not. Okay? Of course it's not. And I haven't even seen it from the literal Israeli media. It's extremely reminiscent of the 2017 Swedish propaganda about Muslim rape gangs. It usually shows that Western Islamophobia never went anywhere. Yes, that is a very, I mean, that's the classic fucking thing. I've seen also use the same folks. I've also seen folks use that same argument at Tibet, though. What argument? What are you talking about, brother? You are so fucking lost in the sauce. Like, it doesn't matter if you are. It doesn't matter if you are on my side or if you're against me or whatever the fuck, but like you are so incredibly lost in the sauce if you're trying to like turn this in. If you're trying to turn this into like like a conversation that took place 3 fucking weeks ago. Okay? Like I've seen so many people fantasizing about like how Ethan and I are going to duke it out and we're no longer going to be friends after this online. Like, how is that your first point of view? I am not even thinking about that. And I am friends with my co-host of my podcast. And you are imagining it for me? Like you're fantasizing about like how I'm going to say stuff to Ethan and then we are going to fight it out and then the Leftovers podcast is no more. Like you don't know what his perspective is. At that point, you didn't know what my perspective was. And like, you know, Palestinians enter Israel. They take over police precincts. They kill a bunch of fucking IDF soldiers. Okay. They paraglide into a fucking festival, 250 dead. And that's your first point of view is like in my headcanon. How can I turn this into a protracted people's war against the Hasanites inside of the H3H3 podcast community? Like, are you okay? Are you fucking all right? Have you also even looked at what Ethan's perspective is on the matter? I mean, I don't know what his current opinion is, but he is significantly more progressive on Israel than the overwhelming majority of freaks that are fucking launching psychopathic fucking takes. If your first opinion in this situation, if your first opinion on the situation is like, ooh, how will my favorite online commentators, like, how will the battle lines be drawn? You're crazy. You don't care about like the actual, you don't care about the actual indignity on the ground. You don't care about the people that are dying. You don't care about the Israeli people that are dying. You don't care about the Palestinian people that are dying. You don't care about anything. You just care about fucking drama. It's so gross, dude. Like, imagine making your whole life about internet arguments in a situation where there's like actual bedlam that is on the verge of breaking out, when hundreds of Palestinian children are currently being ruthlessly massacred inside of Gaza with no access to water, food, or electricity. Okay? 300,000 reservists are moving inside of Gaza. You have an Israeli security apparatus that is internally conflicted. You have an Israeli people that are internally conflicted. Ynet, legit Israeli news source, says, Israeli warning via French diplomats to Hezbollah. IDF will attack Lebanon, also destroy Damascus, target Syrian President Assad. If Hezbollah joins the war, U.S. warships will support Israel in war. Yeah, that's why they moved. Was this the cinema you were talking about? Yes, this is Sderot Cinema. 9 years ago, this photo was taken of Israelis cheering in the massacres of Palestinians in Gaza in real time. Gaza was under blockade then and has remained under blockade since. Some described it as the best reality show in town. Others said it is better than the World Cup. This was called Sderot Cinema, where people would go on top of the hilltops in Sderot, an area that was actually one of the towns that was invaded, okay, by Palestinians in this last bout. Israelis bringing up chairs to hilltops in Sderot to watch the latest from Gaza, clapping when blasts are heard. Is it your position that Hamas is an evil organization and deserves what is about to happen to them, death, but the Israeli state has been subjecting Palestinians to apartheid and they need to come to a peaceful solution? That seems like a very one-sided take, because something that a lot of people don't understand is that Israel has made it so that Hamas is simultaneously everyone in Palestine and actually an insidious terror cell that does not represent the interests of Palestinians at the same time. But I don't care about that. What I care about is what Israel does to Palestinians. They use that. They use the Israel as a right to retaliate, and Americans actually fucking push for that as well and say Israel has a right to retaliate, and then they're just basically opening up the floodgates of slow genocide. And that's precisely what's happening. That's insane, dude. when you say, oh, Hamas deserves what's coming for them, you're not talking about Hamas getting what's coming for them, okay? You're talking about Palestinian people being eviscerated. And then you will do the second thing where you turn around and say, well, Hamas was using human shields. Okay? Anyone who wants to thwart the establishment of a Palestinian state has to support bolstering Hamas and transferring money to Hamas, Netanyahu told his Likud party's Knesset members in March 2019. This is part of our strategy. Yeah. The director of Human Rights Watch in Israel called out Israel's defense minister, by the way, abhorrent. This is a call to commit a war crime by Yoav Gallant. The International Criminal Court should take note. Defense Minister Gallant's statements are abhorrent. Depriving the population in an occupied territory of food and electricity is collective punishment, which is a war crime, as is using starvation as a weapon of war. The International Criminal Court should take note of this call to commit a war crime. They will not. They will never. They will always turn a blind eye to the realities. They have always turned a blind eye to the realities. Okay? This has never changed. The International Criminal Court will never do anything. The UN every fucking year will go, no, Israel, stop doing this apartheid shit. Stop fucking killing people in the West Bank. That's not your territory. And Israel and defenders of Israel, the ultra-nationalists, the Zionists, the ultra-Zionists will go, whoa, the UN is so anti-Semitic. I can't believe they keep saying we shouldn't do this. They have no power, by the way. It's not like the UN can do anything. They got no veto power because the one country that it's designed around is also fully in support of Israel doing whatever the fuck it wants. But then they go, oh, you guys are being so anti-Semitic to us. What the fuck? Why do you care about us? It's like no different than what they do with Saudi Arabia, okay, at this point. Oh, Saudi Arabia, don't do a genocide in Yemen. Come on now. That's kind of fucked up. Knock it off. Knock it off. And then what happens? Nothing happens. Saudi Arabia doesn't even go around saying this is Islamophobic, by the way. So, seeing Hezbollah has entered the war, is this confirmed? I'm not shocked if they do. I'm not shocked if they do actually end up entering. Like I said, this is, I think, the real reason why both the Israeli security, the IDF spokesperson, and the American State Department said, oh no, Iran is not involved in this attack, specifically was because they did not want to draw Iran into it, because I have never heard either of these institutions not blame Iran for shit that Iran isn't even doing. Half the time Iran is doing shit, but even when they're not doing shit, they always blame Iran. So the fact that this time around they're saying Iran is not responsible and only Wall Street Journal is saying Iran is responsible is fucking nuts. It's scary, and I think that it is by design. It is deliberate. I think that the reason is possibly because they don't want to draw Iran into the conflict, or at least like take their sweet time before Iran is drawn into the conflict. IDF Hezbollah exchanged fire on the northern border as a nation told the gird for emergency. Tensions spike on the Lebanese border, and battles persist in the south. Death toll rises to 900. Army reissues advice on stocking up on supplies, sparking reported run on goods. Which is, by the way, do you think Egypt actually knew and tried to tell Israel? We are going to look at that right now. The other thing I wanted to talk about, by the way, yeah, a Hezbollah member was killed in an Israeli shelling in Lebanon as conflict expands. So they're already like back and forth shelling. But there is more. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, yeah. BJP is going nutty with it. They're being simultaneously uncritical support to Israel while also being deeply anti-Semitic. We'll talk about... Oh, here it is. This is from the Times of Israel. Okay. Egypt intelligence officials say Israel ignored repeated warnings of something big. Mounting questions over Israel's massive intelligence failure to anticipate and prepare for a surprise Hamas assault were compounded Monday when an Egyptian intelligence official said that Jerusalem had ignored repeated warnings that the Gaza-based terror group was planning something big, which included an apparent direct notice from Cairo's intelligence minister to the prime minister. So it's not like the Egyptians are like, oh yeah, we love Hamas. We love Palestinians. We're going to defend them. No, they're collaborating. Okay? The Egyptian official said Egypt, which often serves as a mediator between Israel and Hamas, had spoken repeatedly with the Israelis about something big without elaborating. That something big was the top of the hour ad break. which you can avoid by subscribing for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime, or by getting gifted a sub. It might not be worth anything, but the IDF dismissed this claim. Yeah. The IDF both dismissed this claim, but also simultaneously are saying Iran is not responsible. So there's a lot of mixed messages that are coming out of the IDF currently, especially when we know that there is internal conflict within the Israeli security apparatus between certain members of the security apparatus being like, you have to literally not move fucking troops in the West Bank. You have to stop killing Palestinians in the West Bank because you're literally causing more chaos and forcing the hands of Palestinians to violently retaliate. It is going to become a security flaw for us. Okay, here's a 3-minute ad break now. I do not believe that Mossad would openly allow Palestinians to actually invade Israel. I don't believe that. There's no fucking way. Especially because if they want to galvanize the population, if they want them to like start getting even more mad, and they, let's say, supposedly have the interest in doing that by allowing like a terror attack to happen on Israeli soil, there's a much better way to do that without looking like fucking assholes, looking like you got caught with your pants down. Okay? How do you do that? You just let like one bomb explode and Hamas to take credit for it in like a crowded area of Israel where a bunch of Israeli Jews died. You know what I mean? You could just do that without having a bunch of your military commanders fucking dying and a bunch of precincts in the southern part of Israel remain captive to Palestinian forces. So no shot would they ever allow this to happen, because this move, this incursion has destroyed the security state, the level of comfort that Israelis felt, okay? Yes, Hamas throws rockets all the fucking time. And yet, there is a difference between feeling secure inside of your own borders when you can go to a fucking shelter, okay? And knowing full well that like the collateral damage would be minimized by one of the best well-guarded fucking apartheid states on the planet, okay? Versus your entire understanding of security being shattered when Palestinian forces penetrate through the border and are literally on the streets killing fucking civilians. From what I've seen, Hezbollah has, till now, only attacked the Sheba Farms area, Israel-occupied Lebanon, and it's not Israel, and not Israel proper because they don't want U.S. heat right now. I don't know. Biden has also made a statement on American citizens that have been captured or killed. President Biden says 11 Americans have been killed in the Hamas attack on Israel. We also know that American citizens still remain unaccounted for, and we are working with the Israeli officials to obtain more information as to their whereabouts. While we are still working to confirm, we believe it is likely that American citizens may have been among those being held by Hamas. I have directed my team to work with their Israeli counterparts on every aspect of the hostage crisis, including sharing intelligence and deploying experts. Oh, Haaretz reported this, by the way. Haaretz reports that Blinken has now twice deleted tweets of calling for a ceasefire and urging Israel to exercise restraint. Whatever Israel does now to 2 million civilians in Gaza, almost half of them children, is then with the apparent blessing of Biden. U.S. officials keep deleting posts calling for ceasefire and Israeli restraint. Why do they keep posting it, and then why do they keep deleting it? I don't fucking know. What the fuck is going on inside of the State Department? I do not fucking know. Is there anything you can do to help Palestine? You have the Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, and you also have the other Palestinian charity operating out of UK. But ultimately, there's not really much you can do in this immediate moment. Like there's literally nothing you can do. A lot of Palestinian charities, Palestinian Medical Aid is the UK one. They're both good. They most likely will be blocked. They often do get blocked. And there's not really too much you can do in general. Look at this. Look, you're talking about Palestinian Children's Relief Fund, and motherfuckers are still going, avoid donating to Hamas. Like, it's so Jover. It's never been more Jover than it has been before. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, dude, you're right. I have the Comrade Lamb Gaza Fights for Freedom censored video if you want to watch it today. Oh, thank you. Yeah, we can do that, but there's too much to cover on the ongoing issues, so I don't want to like go into that and dive into that. Also, when people ask why so many people support Israel, is because they only see this shit. YouTube ads made by Israel brother.
War against Israel. Armed Hamas terrorists infiltrated into Israel via a ground invasion and started going door to door slaughtering innocent Israelis. Hundreds of Israeli civilians, including children and women, have been killed or injured, and Israeli hostages have been taken. This is a war, and Israel will take every measure necessary to protect our citizens against these barbaric terrorists.
This is so unserious. Brother, it's full-scale propaganda war, too. Wrong. They didn't say Islamist terrorists, poof, amateurs, because they also recognize that this is a coalition of Palestinians and not simply Hamas, which is a fundamental fact that many people on the supposedly liberal, radical, pro-Palestinian side are refusing to come to terms with. Okay? I, Jewish and in the U.S., have always been told Palestine is bad by my parents. Is the Israeli propaganda just that ingrained? I've found it weird that my family, who's never been to Israel, has had that idea beaten into my head. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they use the Palestinian flag colors on purpose. Do you think the use of Hamas is calculated versus saying Palestinian? I'm pretty dumb. The Israeli state makes no distinction between Hamas and Palestinians in the way that they fucking operate, okay? They don't. And after doing that for years and years and years, while also simultaneously fucking destroying the supposedly secular and peaceful coexistence project within the PLO, within the West Bank, Palestinians also recognize Hamas as the only militant way to push back against the Israeli apartheid state. That is precisely the reason why the popularity of Hamas has gone up over the years. A similar thing has happened with the Taliban in Afghanistan. Okay? So at this point, the distinction or trying to parse through is ridiculous. Like, trying to parse through is not only ridiculous, but also counterproductive. It doesn't matter because the victims are not Hamas only. The victims are always Palestinians, despite the fact that Hamas is an Islamist fundamentalist group that literally was propped up by Israel as a counterweight to secular Marxist emancipatory organizations. Okay? It does not matter what you say about the situation. What matters is how Israel reacts to the situation. Egypt is apparently closing its borders to Palestinian refugees. Can you please explain why Egypt participates in the blockade of Gaza? This is not to let Israel off the hook at all, but Egypt is an important part of the story, and I legitimately have no clue why they're doing this. Yeah, because, I mean, they are... Any state that is an American client state is going to behave in the way that America wants. Why does Palestinians keep rejecting the two-state proposal? Yeah, I don't know, man. Look at the West Bank. Yeah, you're right. Palestinians did vote for Hamas, but look at the West Bank. Does it look like the two-state proposal is looking good right now? You can only have this perspective if you just do not think that, like, the West Bank is being actively partitioned and violently partitioned. And there is a deliberate ethnic cleansing occurring in the West Bank, an ethnic displacement and an ethnic cleansing. So go ahead. Explain to me how you live in this universe where you're like, why do Palestinians keep hitting themselves in the fucking face? Anyway, what are the Turks saying in the QRTs? Hasan zaman çok yanlış adam oluyorsun ama helal olsun ne diyeyim. This guy says it's the worst time to say this. But you know, you're a good guy. And a lot of Turks fucking hate me because I called them sons of whores for defending Israel unconditionally. I said you are dogs to the West, and in their eyes you are no different than the Arabs, no matter how elitist you find yourself to be. Wait, do you take it back? Fuck no. No. Turks that are offering unconditional support to the state of Israel do not recognize it, and that's far from the majority of Turks in general. There are multiple different reasons as to why they're doing it. One, because they think like, oh, if we are as servile as we possibly can be, maybe the Western world will make a distinction between us and those yucky Arabs who are backwards, right? That is a legitimate reason as to why they think that. There's also a lot of anti-Arab sentiment in Turkey since the Erdogan regime took in more than 6 million, almost 10 million Syrian refugees into the country. So there's so much happening. There's too many different variants. There's also, of course, the comparison that Turkey will make to their treatment of Kurds with respect to like Israel's treatment of Palestinians, which in my opinion is nowhere as bad, except. I did say, the other part I said they could Mavi Marmara. I said Israel could make Mavi Marmara 100 times in their mother's asshole, and you can't do anything about it. Yeah, I did say that. So Mavi Marmara was a peace mission, was a commercial fleet, like a little dinghy, like a boat, of Turkish humanitarian aid workers that went through the Gaza blockade, okay, to specifically give food and supplies to the people of Gaza. And you know what the Israeli government did? They went in with a attack helicopter and fucking slaughtered them. Okay? Yeah. They went in and fucking slaughtered humanitarian aid workers with like automatic machine guns. They like helicoptered in to this fucking ship. And of course, Erdogan, who said 1 minute and has played the role of played the theatrical performance of like being anti-Israel for the memes, has always been a servile dog of the Israeli state. Even during that process where there was like a lot of conflict between Turkey and Israel, we were still literally training Israeli pilots in Turkey. We are a NATO nation. We are America's lapdog. And by we, I mean Turkey. Okay? That is the reason why Erdogan maintains his power. Yeah, Israel is bombing border crossings out of Gaza into Egypt as well. This is the same shit that the UN rightly yelled at Russia for doing. Wonder if they'll have that same energy for Israel. No. And even if they do, it doesn't matter. Here is Mohammed al-Kurd. This is terrifying. This is the only military barrier not controlled by the Zionist regime. Bombing it is a declaration of intent for genocide. Israeli airstrike hits the Rafah border crossing between Gaza and Egypt, the only other way out of Gaza. You know, actually, that's not true. Right now, there is another way out of Gaza. It's through all of the different areas that the Palestinians have penetrated through into Israel. So I don't know why they're doing this. You know, there is another way. You could just go into Israel to avoid the bombing. Taşak mı geçiyorsun? 100 sene önce Filistinler bizi arkadan bıçakladı. Niye anlatmıyorsun? İngilizlerle beraber. Oh, there's the other historical reference point too. I forgot. Well, I did bring it up. Lawrence of Arabia. Turks also still hold on to being backstabbed by the Palestinians who collaborated with the British. Just like all of the North African nation states as well. And that is the also secondary anger there. I don't give a shit. Okay? I don't care. Why would I care about that? I mean, sometimes I bring up the historical reference point to say every single, every single country that collaborated with European colonists thinking that they would offer them a better deal than the Ottomans had were wrong, objectively, okay? Except that doesn't change the ongoing reality right now on the ground. Why the fuck would I? Yeah, the Gulf states, you mean the Gulf states and the Levant, and also, yes, the Gulf states and the Levant, exactly, MENA, in the MENA region, all of the formerly Ottoman Empire territory got were collaborating in an effort for emancipation, collaborating with other colonial powers. Of course, it ended up hurting them in the long run.
Damn, this guy's good.